There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take this!
What is up, EoP sports fans? It's Wednesday night. It's 8:30. It's time for EoP. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Sheeran.
And your Sixers are on, and that's great. We're watching them, too, with you as we go along here. So, you put us on the small screen, mute the Sixers, talk along with us, comment along with us, and we'll keep you up to date as well on the Sixers score, which is right now 53-46 in favor of the Mavericks with about 4 minutes left in the second.
Shocker.
Shocker to me, though, real quick. I know we're going to jump into Phillies talk real quick, Joe, but shocker to me was James Harden or Embiid starting tonight. I didn't think I would see both of them or maybe even neither of them.
Yeah, I definitely didn't think I was going to see Embiid tonight. I thought there was a really good chance of Harden. I mean, it just seems like it's a day-to-day basis with these guys. I mean, the playoffs are close enough. Doesn't look like you're going to get to that number 2 seed. You're looking like you're pretty secure in that 3 seed. You got a few games up on the Cavs. And I'm a little surprised Embiid's playing. Not Harden so much, though. But either way, if either of them have anythings right now, they should not be playing.
Yeah, and it's I think it's that 50 marker. They want to hit that big 5-0, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But of course, the big hoopla, I guess would say, is tomorrow is the beginning. Finally, spring training is amazing, but the real deal starts tomorrow, Thursday.
Yes, sir.
The Phillies are in Texas, taking on the Rangers. Let's just talk about the matchup real quick, because the Phillies did make some of a move today. We'll talk about that, of course. But Aaron Nola versus Jacob deGrom. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Jacob deGrom later in the season when he'd be most likely injured. But yes, we get him healthy off the scratch. Off the heap, and we're ready to go. Joe, what are your feelings about after watching the last few spring training games? Even Nola had a little bit of a rough outing the last time he was out. What are your feelings, and outside of just being uber excited to start the season?
I think the first thing you got to think of is, even with deGrom not with the Mets anymore, like what is like? It's just the Phillies' luck that they have to start off the season against this guy. Who a lot of people feel is a good pitcher. I tend not to really. I don't see the big deal with Jacob deGrom, honestly. I mean, like you said, if we would have just been lucky enough not to have to face him so early in the season, he probably would have been injured, and we wouldn't have to play him anyway. I mean, he's good, I guess. Am I worried about him tomorrow? I'm not. I mean, I understand that it's on the road. It's not only, our opening day, it's their opening day, and it's on their turf, and everyone's going to be fired up. And I understand that it's going to be an uphill battle for our Fightins tomorrow. But I think they're going to be as jacked as everybody else. It's the regular season. It's the regular season Phillies debut of Trey Turner. Of course, you want Bryce on the field. You want Rhys Hoskins on the field. But I think the addition of Trey Turner, and you got to look at the Rangers as a whole, not only their starting pitching. Are they going to be able to hold up against Aaron Nola? And I think Aaron Nola actually has something to prove this season, because contract negotiations have broke down. They're going to continue at the end of the season. We won't talk more into that. But I think Aaron Nola is going to be up for the challenge of an opening day against deGrom as well. And I think our offensive firepower against their offensive firepower, I give the edge to the Philadelphia Phillies, and I see them coming out with a W.
Yeah, I mean, they always seem to do well opening day. It's like they go out a good 4 or 5 game run and then get a little nervous. But this is a different team, different than it was last year, different than it was the years before. Let's see, Joey is a PSU fan, excited to finally watch promising QB like dude, Alar is a good QB, by the way. Like,
yes, he is.
Watching him play, I said, no offense, Clifford, but move out the way.
Yeah. I was really excited when he got his few snaps at the end of some of the games last season.
Yeah, no, he's going to be good, dude. You watch.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
excited
He can
about him.
sling the
I
ball.
mean, even past college, I think you're going to see a lot from him. But since we're talking Phillies, I agree with you. I tend to agree with you, Joey, on this one. I think this team's going to be jacked. Part of me wonders is there going to be any little morale since the whole Reese Hoskins injury just happened about a week ago now. Does that bring them down? Does that play in them a little bit? I personally don't. I think maybe it makes them play a little harder. Do this for like Reese. We're going to at least get this one in for you, Joe. Do you think it has any bearing on this team?
Yeah, I definitely do think so. And I think there are still a lot of question marks with that first base, not only with the defense. I mean, we looked at Reese Hoskins as, I hate to say it because he's hurt, I don't want to talk down on him, but as a defensive liability. And now we have to, put our faith and our confidence in Derek Hall, who we have a micro, sample of him playing first base. So it's like, is the defense even going to get better on that corner of the field? I can see him putting up the type of numbers, with his bat as Reese, but still, it's a head scratcher and what they're going to do. I do think, some of the games, and I know we don't want to look too far into the season, but Alec Bohm will be over at first, when Hall gets a rest, or they just want Sosa to start on the third. But it's a big question mark when it comes to first base. But I do look at it as a morale booster because everybody knows that they have to step up even more. Look at what happened last season with Bryce Harper. Everyone stepped up. JT, Kyle Schwarber, of course, Alec, Bryson Stott. Everybody took that little bit extra step up when it came to boosting the team, knowing that the production wasn't there from Bryce Harper. Now you have Bryce and you have Reese out. These guys, I think, not only is the defense just that much better with the Trey Turner and the offense, but I think the chemistry is better because they have another season under their belt together and they have a full off-season spring training with Rob Thompson. And I think one of the things we're going to have to look at this season coming is there is no change of the guard. It's not Girardi and the Thompson. It's Thompson the whole way. So there's no real pick-me-up from anybody who didn't like Girardi and was happy about Thompson. So, I mean, it's going to be a wonder to see how this team actually goes in. But again, I think the chemistry is there even more and even tighter, especially with the daycare, the young guys, even though a number of them are now gone. But I really like what I'm seeing out of these guys, especially in spring training. Jake Cave, I mean, this guy, can he play first base? I mean,
well,
I don't know. I don't know, but they did. I mean, they're going to, I think they're going to have a platoon at first.
Center field.
Center field, of course, there'll be a platoon. I'd say 75% of third base is going to be Alec Bohm, and the rest is going to be Sosa. Sosa can, pick up the slack when a Trey Turner gets a day off or Bryson Stott. I mean, they have a lot of versatility on this team right now, whether it's, somebody getting a rest, a Kyle getting a rest and being a DH and somebody else playing left field, or, one of the infielders. I mean, there's a lot of versatility, a lot of pop in the bat, and this is something people need to be excited about.
Yeah. And speaking of pop in the bat, as you posted earlier on EoP, the Phillies had the most dingers in spring training.
Yeah.
But the most dingers nonetheless at 51. And, kind of goes along with here, our boy Dibes asking, could Hall hit 20 dingers this year? I think it's really possible.
20, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think 20 is very possible. Again, he goes, it's the off-speed stuff, but it's not just the off-speed stuff. It's lefty versus righty for him too. So it would be good. We see how he's grown and matured as a ball player, and as guys we've seen come up and have like some great starts, Dominic Brown, and that got figured out and just fell apart.
I think one of the things, and I said this on our page the other day, is when we all looked at it as a possibility of Reese moving on, we thought, okay, if he moves on, they get another first baseman. But a lot of people were questioning the production. Who's gonna put up those 30 home runs? Who's gonna put up those RBIs that Reese Hoskins does? And I think with Derek Hall, you're not looking for him to put up the exact same numbers. But if he could put up a 20 spot and in the home runs, I think that's, very fair. I think that's very doable. We see Alec Bohm has put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle, and we see he's got a little bit of a long ball, from spring training. Off the top of my head, I think he has 4 or 5 home runs in spring training. So he could be up for another 5 or 10 home runs in the season. So I think everybody is going to step up in their own little way. And I do think the production of Rhys Hoskins will be made up for.
Yeah, we sure hope so. And it's maybe the good part would be it's not as streaky when it's maybe platooning guys, but we'll find out. Guys, I remind you this is brought to you by Sherry'sTickets.com. That's where we go to get our tickets here at EoP, Sherry'sTickets.com. You can get additional 10% off by using that EoP promo code. It's EoP10. No hidden fees. What you see on the screen is the price you're going to pay. You are not going to get jived at the end, that's for sure. Sports, concerts, theater, you name it, they got the ticket for you. Family owned and operated since 1946. Sherry'sTickets.com, or Sherry's Ticket Town is the name of the company, but Sherry'sTickets.com is where you want to go. So, Joe, we talked about this in our messenger, of course, before.
Sure.
And I saw it, and it just annoyed me beyond all belief, and I wanted to talk to you about it and get your feelings on it. Last game of the spring training, JT Realmuto behind the plate, playing catcher, not at the plate, not batting. He got thrown out. He got tossed. I would play it, but powers that be doesn't like when we play
sure.
videos. So it was the simplest thing. He's in. The ump is supposed to be putting the ball into his glove. He has the glove he's not looking back. He just has his arm back with his glove up. Hey, go ahead, put the ball in there. And I guess he didn't feel the ball after a few seconds, so he figured it wasn't coming back. He moves his arm. The ump goes to drop the ball into his glove, misses, it falls. He takes some sort of way to it and tosses JT Realmuto for that.
Yeah, what's ridiculous with that whole thing is JT pulled his glove away, but also he didn't feel the ball in his glove, and it's because the last time that the ump was giving a ball, he threw it right to the pitcher. So he didn't even give it to JT for JT to throw back for the pitcher. So I mean, it's a huge miscommunication, and it's also that ump on a huge unnecessary power trip. They now have the power to with the pitch clock to kind of alter the game in a bit, whether it's a strikeout or a walk in some cases. And now they're getting the opportunity. Like, first off, when the hell has anything like that ever happened? No. Is there a clause in the rule book saying that an ump can't be disrespected in another way other than language?
That is my key thing. So even let's be honest, let's pretend for a second, like say they kind of are jawing at each other a little bit throughout the game, or JT and him are just kind of going back and forth. You still shouldn't be able to be thrown out for that. He didn't throw he didn't throw his equipment. He didn't kick dirt at him. He didn't curse at him. He didn't do anything. No words were even said.
He laughed. He smiled and he laughed.
So because
he knew how egregious it was. Everybody did.
And here's a guy who has been at the World Baseball Classic and trying to play a couple games with his team to kind of, get the juices flowing.
Yeah.
And you're going to get tossed over the most ridiculous reason. I looked up. So the ump's name is Randy Rosenberg.
Yeah, I meant to share his name. I forgot.
Yeah. 39 regular season games. So this guy's a young guy. He's like Angel Martinez in the making over here. I mean, like, I honestly think, like, this isn't my stance on this. Like, everybody makes mistakes at their job, right?
Sure.
He could have been like, he could have taken that back. And that would have been the first time you've ever seen that happen. A guy get untossed out of the game.
Yeah, like, I wonder if once you get tossed, like, that's it. I don't think it's ever been overturned.
Like, I wonder at all, like there should have been something. The MLB should have came out and said, after we reviewed it, we took, and he's going to be docked a couple games, or, we gave him a warning if it happens again or anything like this happens again, you're done. Like something like, if you did a bad job at your work and you did something egregious, your boss is going to pull you in the office and lace into you, right? Like,
maybe he's anti-American. Maybe he just didn't like the fact that JT played for, the U.S. of A. I don't know, but
maybe he had a shilling on it and he lost a couple bucks.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'd be shocked if there wasn't a little bit of an investigation on that. Like, they should go back to last year and see if this guy umped any other games of the Phillies where there was some jaw jabbering going back and forth, whatever the case may be. Like, I don't think it should just be cut and dry. The MLB knows that it was a flub, but nothing's being said about it. JT got kicked out. Like, if it was a regular season game, I wonder if it would be taken a lot more seriously. Like, because that the Phillies can place a grievance on these type of things and have them investigated. I mean, maybe this is just something they, wipe their hands of and let go. But I mean, this is something to be looked at for in the season. Like, these guys are just, I don't know. I've never seen anything like that before.
I think you still need to go to the ballpark, go to the MLB and say, listen, we understand it's a preseason game or spring training game. We understand things are the way they are, and these guys are learning just like we're learning, but I'm learning to make sure I can throw a ball right or swing a bat right or whatever. This guy trying to make a fool out of me, out of our organization, out of the umpires, and out of Major League Baseball. And it's something needs to be said, like maybe not a public apology, but apology to him and the Phillies that he has to say or write or something like, hey, I overstepped my bounds. This won't happen again. Like maybe you don't do it outwardly, like where the whole world can see it, but you don't let something like this go because, like you said, you give these guys power to do such things in a game. And if this defines the game, I go back to that. Remember when Kyle Schwarber was kicked out of the game because he and it was at the end of the game, and I think it was Angel Martinez. I think he was the ump, and it was the bad calls all night. And it wasn't just us. I forget who we were playing that night, but it was both teams, and we were both getting roasted and having it was just impossible to play. And it was his last at bat. It was very strategic on Kyle. Like he knew he was probably not going to bat again. They were tired of it. Joe Girardi was still our coach. He hasn't said anything at this point. So I think he said, you know what, I got to kind of take this on my back and be like, I'm going to get tossed. I really don't care.
Yeah.
But I got to, and he didn't say anything wrong. He didn't kick dirt. He didn't spit at him. He didn't yell at him. He didn't throw anything at him. He took his gloves off and threw them down, but said, like, the ball's over here. The ball's over there.
Well, he jumped in front of home plate and started directing where the ball was. Yeah. His reaction was great.
And he even said, this is both teams, not just about the Phillies. You're ruining it for both teams. You're blowing this game. You're doing a bad job at this game. And that's it. And like, I don't think you can just let something as egregious as that go. And it's like, the reason it's egregious is because it was so stupid. It was so dumb.
Oh yeah. And I think that's one of the things you take away from that is his reaction and how ridiculous it was and how the game played out and how it was to both teams. It wasn't Kyle just complaining about his at-bats or his team at-bats. It was both teams at-bats. Nobody's going to remember who was playing who. Everyone's going to remember the reaction of Kyle Schwarber and just how ridiculous that game played out.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little further because I want to talk about Christian Pache. The Phillies made a move today. They traded with the Athletics. He actually was a Brave at one point now, and they traded with the Athletics though. 24-year-old. They traded for Billy Sullivan, if you even knew who that was before the trade was. He's a pitching prospect, pitching a 4.59 ERA at 44 appearances last year. So nobody who really was rocking the boat for us or anything. But
sure.
A guy that they brought in has some upside. At one point, he was, a top prospect in the league. I think last year he's at number 38. But were you surprised, interested? Does this move the needle for you at all, Joe, this move?
The reason it moves the needle for me is, number one, it's the day before opening day, and this is still Dombrowski keeping, his iron to the fire and just seeing where he can upgrade our farm system, in any way that he can. I think the way that he is doing, like, all right, what, Charlie Apache, is that how you pronounce it?
Christian
Apache, sorry.
Christian Pache.
Now, Christian Pache, from everything I've read about this kid, he had a really solid spring training. However, he did not make the Athletics roster. So this is Dombrowski keeping his eye on all the talent from spring training and all the teams and keeping up to snuff with these guys. He saw that this kid played well. He knew that, number one, they had a roster spot once Reese went on the IL or DL, whatever we're putting it for, the extended injury list. And they knew that they had an opportunity to bring in a kid who almost made a major league roster.
They
in
brought somebody
exchange.
in. They brought
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
in. Yeah.
Right, that they brought somebody in who almost made a major league roster for Billy Sullivan, who, again, like you said, nobody has even heard of. So it's already an upgrade when it comes to the prospect. This kid's 24 years old. Right now, I mean, he's not going to get a chance at the bigs, but who's to say in a year or 2 or 3 he doesn't? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like this is just further proof to me that Dombrowski has his ear and his eyes out on everything right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's not only the major league squad that he's looking to correct for the long term and put the best product on the field. It's also the farm system and overturning everything, in which we all knew that the Phillies farm system was looked at as one of the bottom feeders, say 3 years ago or so, or maybe even 2 years ago or so, because Dombrowski's only been with the club for 2 seasons now. So I mean, this guy works his magic every single organization he goes to, the Red Sox, the Tigers, even the Phillies. His big thing was as he reconstructed all these lineups, and they eventually got to a World Series. Year 2 of him being here, the Phillies made the World Series, and he's going to be here for years to come. And it's anybody's guess what's going to happen in the next handful of years, but it's going to be contention. It's going to be the Phillies fighting for a spot no matter what.
Absolutely. And you brought it up earlier, Rhys Hoskins, he had his ACL reconstruction, or actually he's having his ACL reconstruction tomorrow. So it's opening day, and he's having his ACL reconstruction, most likely out for the season. And of course, they put him on the 60-day because that's the way it works.
Nobody's expecting him back.
Yeah, Dives puts up a good point. He's, Pache hits lefties and Marsh hits righties, and then it is definitely a Moneyball move. They say they have him listed as the elite defender at his position, so maybe they do play the matchups a little bit.
Well, I mean, we have seen over the past year or two. I mean, and this is one of the reasons why Girardi, got let go, is because he didn't want to bring up some of the younger guys and give them a shot. And I mean, hey, say an injury or 2 happens, Pache may come up and make a name for himself. I mean, we've seen stranger things happen.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting, but so they're shifting things around. Of course, we've talked about it. You mentioned it earlier. Alec Boehm could be playing over at first. Does that hurt Alec at all? You think in any which way? I mean, the guy, is really coming into his own as a third baseman, not an elite third baseman, but a very good everyday third baseman, not making any big move, big mistakes like he has in the past, but he's playing well and been getting better every time he played. Does this affect him as a player?
I don't know if it affects the development over at third, because again, I think he's going to get at least 75% over there. I mean, just look at the growth from this kid, not only on the field, but his maturity. I mean, last year, beginning of the season, he has 2-3 errors in a game, and he's saying, I effing hate this place. Goes back in the ball in the clubhouse, admits that he said it, and that turned everything around for us fans, that we didn't just jump on his back and bastardize him. And you saw as the season progressed into the playoffs, into the World Series, this is somebody that we were comfortable depending on at third base. And then we see all the hard work in the offseason with putting on the muscle and working on a swing and trying to get a long ball added in to, his approach at the bat. And I think this kid is head and shoulders above where he was at the beginning of last season. And he's only going to get better. When it comes to third base, I think I don't think it's going to stop his growth, as a fielder. I think when he gets, I mean, look at it this way. And I mean, these two in the comparison and experience is 2 different things, but look at JT Realmuto. I mean, the fact that he gets a spot start at first base every once in a while doesn't affect his catching ability. You know what I mean? So, I mean, sure. I think Alec Boehm, on a day where he just wants to, or a day that they need him to start at first, I think it'll be fine.
Well, speaking of elite defense, I know one guy, David Archeri, always bring you the elite defense. I don't care if you get hurt at work, in a car accident, personal injury, or have some criminal law issues. David Archeri is your man. CherryInjuryLaw.com, 610-565-0300, CherryInjuryLaw.com. Tell Dave that EoP sent you.
Yeah, I got to tell you, dude, your segues are getting awesome. I am impressed. That was good.
The other one is Edmundo Sosa, man. Is he playing every day, you think? I mean, now that
it
Reese
depends.
is
I
out,
mean,
you
where would he play? That's the thing.
third
You're not
base?
going to start him at first. Well,
Third base.
no, he's not going to be an everyday player with Alec Boehm over there. I mean, I know that they were giving him some,
How about
some
how about in
center
the
field.
That's center, right, left. Maybe they.
Yeah, I don't know.
Schwarber has a DH that night, and they put him out in left field.
I think that's where Jake Cave comes in. I think Sosa is going to be your shortstop and third baseman when either Trey Turner or Alec Boehm are out. And I think he's going to be a bench piece when it comes to pitch hitting. Other than that, I don't see him playing outfield. I know that they were trying to give him some reps in center field to see if he can play opposite Brandon Marsh when a certain pitcher was up, a righty lefty. But I think that's where Jake Cave comes in. This guy was batting phenomenal, and he earned that roster spot. And I think if they need an outfielder, that's where he's going to go, Jake Cave.
Yeah, I mean that's my thing. Is I think maybe Cave would be more center field than they would put Sosa, but I mean they are super high on him. So I wonder how much they're going to try to fit him into the daily rotation.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a stat I saw that some weird stat, like as a power production, he was hitting as hard a ball as anybody else in Major League Baseball during the spring, and they are they are looking for any reason to get him to play as much and as often as possible.
Sure,
and
no, I get it.
Another great Dombrowski move. They trade from St. Louis with him, like right around when Harper got hurt, so it was around June, July there. You thought maybe just another utility guy became part of the culture of that locker room, part of the a decent part of the postseason run that they had, and then now we're talking about him like he's just another everyday player.
He was almost a hero in Game 6 of the World Series.
About 3 feet difference could make a world of a difference there. He's like our new Raul Ibanez in here. Like they're ready to just come out of nowhere with him.
I think one other person you have to remember who's going to play or who's going to get some playing time at first and second is Josh Harrison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so, I mean,
no, you're right. And that guy, he's playing. I'm excited
100%.
to see if he can play. I'm excited to see how much he does play, I should say.
And Guthrie will play outfield too when they need a spot start.
Actually, I think Guthrie might be not making the team.
No, I think he was number 4. Josh, Sosa, Cave.
I read something they're saying they could replace him if they bring Pache up.
Okay.
So I'm not exactly sure. So
got you.
I think that was just a possibility. That could be my bad on that. But
hey, maybe that might be the reason why they traded for him. Honestly, I didn't get too much time to really dive into it earlier.
No, I pulled up a couple articles on him. Watched a couple quick videos on him. That was about it. So yeah, that's about as far as my knowledge goes on him. But
sure.
Real quick, one of the great things about the game being back, and we always like to talk a little bit more than just the sport itself, is going to the game. We will be both at the home opener.
Yep.
So every year the Phillies announce some new treats, some new foods, and me and you kind of like to eat. It is what it is. But one thing they brought back, and Joe, I want your feelings on this. Graham Slam ice cream is back. Now that's not just at the stadium; that's in the stores, and that's Turkey Hill product. For any of those who don't know, Turkey Hill ice cream has it was always the Phillies one, and it was been gone for a good 5-6 years.
It was gone for a little bit, and they're still even saying it's a limited edition. So who knows when it goes again.
Joe, are you a fan of Graham Slam ice cream?
You got to be in the mood for it. If I'm being honest with you, I've tried it. I've enjoyed it. Is it my go-to? No, but I look at this as, and I don't. Maybe it's a far reach with this.
Okay.
Jeffrey Lurie listened to the fans and brought back Kelly Green.
Okay.
Turkey Hill listened to the fans and brought back the Graham Slam.
And the Phillies are more popular again. I mean,
the Phillies are popular as balls right now.
Yeah, so you bring back. I'll be honest with you, Joe. I do I eat it, I have it, and I like it, but I'm not. If it didn't have the name Phillies on the side of it, I probably would have never looked at it to begin with.
Sure.
It's a good ice cream, but it's not what I'm like. If I'm reaching for my favorite ice cream out of the freezer section of my local supermarket, I don't think I'm going Graham Slam.
I think it's more of a novelty thing when you're at the ballpark.
Yes. That's I think the first time I ever had it was at the ballpark. But
Yeah.
there is a few new so last year they had like the peanut butter jelly burger. Now, did you ever try that?
Hell no.
It was actually very good. It was
Really?
very good. And it's not grape jelly or strawberry jelly. It's like a jalapeno
Like a gourmet type jelly. Got you.
Like almost like a chutney, but it wasn't bad. I actually did enjoy it. But this year,
I got you.
Uncle Charlie's Cheesesteaks is coming, named after Charlie Manuel.
Sure.
So we'll see how they are. One thing I'm excited to say on this menu, the whole thing is, so people are really like uber excited about Federal Donuts, and I've talked about this before. I like them. I wouldn't like people act like they're the best thing ever. They're okay, but the Federal Donuts is going to have Federal Donuts and chicken with a spicy mayo dipping, whatever. So
wow.
The chicken and waffles, chicken and donuts thing.
Sure.
That sweet and savory kind of mixture could be interesting. Mexican street popcorn, or Mexican street corn, I mean, is something that they're going to be having at the stadium. An interesting thing. Not a thing I'm thinking about having at a ballpark. Let me get
What's the what is it? Like just seasoning on like what is it?
Cheese seasoning. It's kind of baked into it. I think they're grilled, so you get a little crispiness to it. Do you ever like grill just like without boiling the corn, so you get that crunchiness of it? It's almost like in between a popcorn and regular corn. I've had Mexican street corn in Mexico when I was down there for. Sorry, if you don't like it that much, I'll tell them to get it off the menu.
My bad.
But I'd be interesting to see how the in Dibes, a man after my own heart, right here. Is the Schmitter still there? I haven't.
That's what I thought you were gonna. That's what I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say last minute they're bringing back the Schmitter.
I listen, Dibes. I love the Schmitter. It's the worst sandwich in the world for you to eat from a health standpoint, but it's the most delicious to eat. So I wish where they usually was, it's not there. So if they do sell the Schmitter in the stadium somewhere, which I don't think they do, it's not at their normal spot, because that's where the peanut butter jelly burgers and Federal Donuts is now. So that's gone. Here we go. Oh, snap. Mexican street corn is epic. One of the best I've ever had. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Now, is this something, are they just overturning the menu every season now just to try new things, or are they seeing what works and then put together a complete menu? Like what is, have they explained why they're doing all this?
Well, I think I think they say what they do is they try to have some new things. And one of the things I'm going to get to in a minute, you'll see what I'm talking about, why they're doing it. But and if it doesn't work out, they replace it. And if it does work out, they keep it. Like, there's still the tried and true Chicky and Pete's fries and all that kind of stuff is still there. So they're not going anywhere. I mean, and plus the Mac and Manco's is still there. Pizza from the shore for anybody who's been down there and enjoyed that pizza numerous times. They're bringing disco fries there, Joe, and I don't know if you're familiar with disco fries, but it's pretty much pulled
gravy
pork
fries,
sandwich.
right?
Yeah, but it's the pork, and they're gonna put you can have like the cheese and the broccoli rabe and the roasted red peppers all on top of the fries. So big old gluttonous mess there, but it sounds amazing to me. But the one major thing is probably the biggest change I could say is, and they're probably opening up to a wider people. And I can speak of this because my daughter's vegan, but they have vegan options now.
Okay.
They're having a gyro pita, a vegan pita, so some fake protein chicken, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. And a chicken parm. So can't call it chicken parm. So they will have some vegan options. So if anybody's listening and you're a family member, a friend, or something who's a vegan, and all they can do is eat the French fries there, now you have another option.
Oh, what's chicken? Is it like plant-based, like fake chicken?
Yeah, it's fake meat. Like if you ever go on there, they can't call it chicken. It's
right.
Chicken. Yeah,
like a beyond meat chicken.
There you go. That's probably
a beyond chicken.
I just like my good old tried and true chicken, but sure, whatever.
Yeah, listen, I'm red-blooded American at the ballpark. Give me a soft pretzel and a hot dog and a bud, and I'm good.
All right, so Joe, we're gonna change gears here, but like I said, going to the Phillies game is one of the amazing parts about doing what we do and going there with the families as well. But one of the other cool things is going to phillysportstrips.com and hanging out with them. When you can't do it from the stadium, you can go to other people's stadium. And they have one coming up, actually, in just a few days. They're going up to Yankee Stadium to watch the Phillies take on the Yankees. on their second series of the season. They have one going out to Colorado and to watch them take on Denver, the Rockies in May, and they have Pittsburgh during the summer, the Chicago Cubs. They have a lot of other ones, which I'll be bringing up in the next coming days with a new graphic. And that's not just it. You can do union trips. You can go to the draft. Once the schedule drops for the Eagles, we'll have every away game ready for you to go. Check it out, phillysportstrips.com. Tell them EoP sent you. Now, let's transition to our 76ers here, Joe. They're playing right now. They're only down 3 in the third. They just, about 11 minutes into the third. So
I don't know if you noticed, but there was a big delay because of the hoop. They had to change it out.
I saw the guy with the ladder, but I didn't see what exactly happened. So
it was something with the netting and I think the rim, because if it was just the netting, I don't know why they would have replaced everything, but they brought a whole new rig out.
That's awesome. They have been having some issues. They had the clock issues at one time. Remember?
Yeah.
The shot clock was not working. They had to put it on the side. They had it on the floor for a little while. And then the Eagles last year, the chains. Remember talking about the chain issues?
Like
things you never think you see at a game.
Ridiculous. But when we talk Eagles, remind me, bring the clock back up. Just say the clock, and I'll remember what I'm thinking. So
okay.
Go ahead.
So as you see, we were playing the Mavericks, trying to get number 50, and Embiid and Harden are playing tonight. But I want to talk about kind of the hero, even though they've lost 3 games.
Yeah.
A guy who's kept them in this, Tyrese Maxey, man. I mean, I'm not surprised the way he plays at all, but the way he really started. I mean, he had a 37-point game against the Suns. Now they lost by 20 in the long run. It's hard to. It's kind of hard to see the forest through the trees in that situation. But he's led that team with no Embiid, no Harden. But I want to ask you this question. So the last game they played, they were down. This game looked like it was kind of shot in the foot at the moment. They're playing Denver, but they put in this. I would say they put the bench pieces in, and they make a run, a big run.
Yeah.
And they were down 22 points at one point, and then with a little less than 2 minutes left in the game, they're only down 6. Doc opted to allow them to continue, not make any changes. Do you agree with that? Should he have put Tyrese Maxey at least back in and see if they could have made a comeback and won that game?
Yeah, I think what we saw the other night really shows the talent that we have when these young guys, these kids really get a chance to shine. I mean, James Harden didn't play the other night. Joel Embiid didn't play the other night. And in what looked like a game that was just completely out of reach, I mean, these young kids took the game over. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, they got back in the game. I think they were down by 3 with like 10 seconds left. Don't quote me on it, but I know that they were right in it, right down to the wire. And it was, I don't want to say the B team, but Dwayne Dedman started the game. Like if Doc Rivers would just get over this, I don't know if it's because he made that comment of we're not on the Paul Reed victory tour or whatever. Like, it's almost like because he said that, he feels like he can't go backwards and start the young kid. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like I think Doc Rivers is shooting this team in the foot more than he needs to. I mean, especially on a night where you have no Embiid, no Harden, and you're playing one of the best teams in the West with the 2-time MVP. I know it's an uphill battle. Let some of these younger kids get out there and play and show you and prove to you that they deserve the minutes, especially, i.e., Paul Reed. It's unbelievable why he's not getting more of a chance.
I'm starting to agree with you. I used to think that was maybe a little bit me reading into something, but I'm starting to agree with you with the Paul Reed aspect. Of all nights not to give Paul Reed a start, I don't understand that. And he was playing well. He was making some Embiid type shots, playing well, driving to the rim. A lot of the points that night from not just him, but from Maxey and other guys were in the paint, and they were doing some good work, and they were keeping, like you said, the 2-time MVP, the Joker, off his off his game. And did they let their guard down a little bit and let him come back? But that was like a 22-2 run at one point. And you
Yeah,
don't.
who's to say? Who's to say Paul Reed starts that game? They don't get down by so much, in 22 points or whatever it was. It may have been a much closer game for, a much more time of the game. Like there may not have been a needed major comeback in the game. They could have possibly pulled it out if Doc just started the right guys and made the correct substitutions. And yes, put on that night the most important person back on the court and Tyrese Maxey. Like, what are we doing here? What does the top brass need to see to just know that Doc Rivers may not be the best option to guide this team?
Or just, maybe not even just that. Like, I'm not saying he has to be he's not gonna always make perfect calls, but like talk to him. Like, why, Doc? Why did you do that? Why didn't you start Paul Reed? Why didn't you do whatever, whatever their question is? Then you can start to learn why, maybe is, like you said, is he not the right guy? I don't know. Joey Woods here is saying, do you think people are hung up on the MVP award? The only thing that matters in the NBA finals is how I look at it. And I agree with you. And I don't know if people are too hung up on the MVP. It's just like, it seems to be continued disrespect for arguably one of the best players in the league. And, a lot of times it comes back to being, if he's not playing enough, or, a guy who plays both ways is, versus a guy who doesn't play both ways as well. And he still gets snubbed a little bit. So I think it's more just a snub. But Joe Wood, I should say, ultimately, yes, it is winning is everything. You can keep all your MVP awards. I want a final. I want to go down Broad Street one time this year. keep tripping at the finish line on that. Yeah,
and I think, well, first off, I can say for sure we know somebody who doesn't care about the MVP award, and that's Joel Embiid, because obviously he sat out the other night and he didn't go up against Jokic. And I'm looking at it two ways right here. I'm looking at it as either Embiid really doesn't care and he just wants to win. He wants to bring a championship to Philadelphia, or if he doesn't get it this year, and he should, I honestly believe that if Jokic gets it again, Embiid now has like an excuse for it. Listen, he dominated that night. I want to say it was back in January in the Wells Fargo Center against that very team in the Nuggets, and he was the MVP that night. Say he goes out in Denver and doesn't play that great, then it's looked as a black mark on his, I guess, MVP resume. So is this him just like kind of looking for the excuse and saying, hey, I was injured. I wasn't going to play. I'm resting up for the playoffs. Like, I don't know which way to look at it. Like, does he really not care about it? Or is he looking for an excuse at the end if he doesn't win it?
Could be both.
Could be both.
Could be both. Like, I want it and I don't want to be pigeonholed to it. So whatever. I need rest. I'm going to take, if he needed rest and he took a rest, then fine. I go back to the All-Star game. He shouldn't have played in that game.
No, not at all.
No, and if you need a rest, listen. That's weeks ago. That's a completely different time frame.
Sure,
that doesn't make or break or change anything. But
Sixers up 3.
Yep, it makes the thing that I need rest now seem less important to him.
Yeah,
like at that point, I think the MVP award was important to him. So I venture to lean towards maybe he doesn't. He is making that was a little bit of a FU to the league and then not the team as much, but like, fine, I'm not going to play. If you guys aren't going to give me a shot at it, and I'm just some guy to you, then whatever. I'm not going to even try to get it.
Sure, it's almost like him by doing this is taking himself out of the running for it, and he doesn't want to hear about the MVP crap anymore.
Yeah,
who knows?
That's fine. Like I said, if he needed the rest and it's load management time, get your 50 wins. Maybe wait, let's see. They have, I'll tell you right now, after tonight, they are games here. They have 6 games left. And a little bit of a gauntlet too. So like you have Friday against the Raptors and Sunday is an 8:00, primetime game. against the Bucks in Milwaukee. I have a feeling
Yeah.
and then they go and play Tuesday against the Celtics.
Yeah.
So
I knew that they had. I forgot about the Raptors. I knew they had the Bucks and the Celtics again.
And if maybe they win this game, say they win the next 2 games, and depending on where the Bucks and the Celtics win, they might be setting their guys. They might be load management a little bit at that point, because at that point
Celtics lost again the other night. So I mean they're still in the hunt to secure that 2 seed.
Yeah, we're 2.5 games behind them, and we're 5 games out of first right now, behind the Bucks. So if they win, if we win 2 and they lose another 1 or 2, that game could mean that could be a swing between second and third seeds. So it could be interesting.
Yeah,
how that plays out.
I don't know if I see him getting there though.
Well, like I said, it's tough sledding, because
I think
if it's before them.
True, no, very true. But I think when it comes to the final seeding and the health of the players, I think like if you're you go into the game against the Bucks and you're not going to catch them, and you lose that game, and then you have the game against the Celtics up next, and you're still X amount of games behind them, like, is it really worth the possibility of an injury from an Embiid or a Harden? I mean, if you're not going to get that 2 seed, if you're secure in the 3 and the Cavaliers don't go on a tear in the next 2-3 games, I think it's just time to be happy where you're at, rest the guys, and get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah. Like I said, be where you're at. I think they're pretty secure in that third position, like playing out of that third. I'm not saying secure that they couldn't lose it. But they want to hit that 50 spot. You probably want to win a couple more games. You got the Hawks at the end last game. The Nets with our boy Ben Simmons won't be there. I know. Get your tissues out, Joe, because I know you're gonna be very upset about that.
What's funny?
Yeah,
is with everything that's been going on, like the news again that he now has a pinched nerve and all that. I mean, I'm starting to feel for him a little bit. I mean, I'm starting to and maybe it is just pity, but I'm starting to feel bad for him, because ultimately this kid is a kid. I mean, and I understand he makes all this money for not playing, and really it's his own fault because he doesn't want to put in the hard work. But a part of me, this kid is a national joke at this point. And I'm starting to feel bad for him, but I understand it's his own doing. I don't know. Maybe it's just the softy in me, but it's almost let him live his life. He's not going to play basketball again, probably. He's still going to have more money than me in my life. Just let him live, keep his name out of, whatever. And just, who cares at this point?
Unfortunately, he has made himself into the bad guy. And when you're the bad guy, people want to see you fall. I mean, you had your original team who tried every which way to build you up.
Yeah.
Doc Rivers,
I know. And I was watching
a gem or whatever you called him, treasure. He was a treasure.
Dude, I saw someone's post earlier, and it was what happened to this kid. And it was about Ben Simmons, and it was clips and highlights, because he does have highlights. He had highlights early in his career, and it was from the first few seasons as a Sixer. And the question was, what happened to this kid? And I just start to wonder if him being in Philadelphia is what just broke him down mentally, and he can just not right the ship in his own head. Us being just one of the toughest fan bases in any sport. I wonder if just him playing in Philadelphia is what broke his spirits, because he was a talented kid. And then once all of us, the media, us, I mean, everybody, you jump on him. Why aren't you shooting? Why aren't you doing this? Why can't you? And then it all builds, and it comes to a breaking point. And I do think that he has mental issues because of it. I'm not putting the pressure or the weight on us Philly fans and our shoulders, but maybe it's just the bad luck of the draw for Ben Simmons and him being drafted to Philadelphia.
Listen, I'll agree with you that the worst place he could have went is Philadelphia because of the way he plays and he carries himself. He might have gotten away with that in Charlotte, or in New Orleans, or a much smaller market of some sort, maybe over in the West somewhere. but sooner or later he was going to get exposed. I mean, the guy did it his entire life. He did it at LSU. He did it in Australia. I mean, he did it.
His own country's Olympic team. Yeah,
he has done it this way, and in lies the problem. And yeah, Philly maybe brought it to the surface a little harsher and a little faster, but ultimately he brought it on himself. I mean, we finally got rid of him. Yeah. We finally got rid of him, sent him out, and the guys around him, he just couldn't play. So maybe I feel bad for anybody. I don't ever wish ill will on somebody physical injury wise, but I wonder part of it is him just making these things up in his head that they hurt as much as they do, giving him a reason, kind of like you're saying with Joel earlier, giving him a reason to be able to sleep at night why he can't play.
But it's almost like you almost have to put blame on his surroundings and the people talking him up and building his ego. I mean, you see like his house at like Simo the Savage and all that. Like people were, and I don't know if it's just people or people money grabbing from him or whatever, but like his support system, like I think his brother was taking money from him or something. Like I feel like so much has happened to this kid, not only on the court, but in his personal life, and just everyone building. And then the downfall, it's almost like a bottomless pit for him right now. And again, I don't know. I'm really starting to feel bad for the kid, and I don't want to like talk down on him anymore. Like, I don't know.
He's become a punching bag, and now it's sad.
Yeah,
now.
I think that's a great way to put it.
When he was just a villain, and he was just, just seemed like he was just being a jerk, which he was, and maybe still is. I don't know, but now it's just sad now.
Yeah,
it's pathetic. But let's talk about something, Joe, that's exciting. And Joe, in the background of the screen, there's a color which we all refer to as Kelly green.
Oh, that's correct.
And they are bringing back the Kelly green jerseys this year. I haven't seen the full picture yet. Do they have the silver pants to go with it?
I do not know.
All right, I'll have to look at it. I do not know. But somebody said to me that earlier that the Kelly green jerseys should be the mainstay jerseys again, and the midnight green should be the alternate jerseys. Your feelings?
I don't think that they should be the mainstay jersey. I think when you look at the jerseys and the team overall as an organization, it's just two different eras. Because if you look at Kelly green, there wasn't a lot of great football being played in those Kelly green jerseys. I mean,
no,
yeah,
exactly
Randall.
What I said.
I mean, Randall. Yeah, of course, the ultimate weapon. But you look at the midnight green, totally different era, a better era, a successful era, the Andy Reid era, the greatest quarterback at the moment in franchise history in Donovan McNabb, the McNabb era, the 5 will always love you era. It's two different things. And the fact that we are still with, it absolutely, it got you over a hump. And it's a total different mindset when you think of the Philadelphia Eagles at that time and place. I mean, there are people who their fondest moments are the Kelly green, but they look at it just as memories, and they've gone in to this new era of a Super Bowl winning Eagles. So I think the Kelly green coming back is just an homage of the team that used to be, and celebrating the players of those decades and the history. I mean, Seth Joyner. I can go on naming players, but it's over. Kelly green is nostalgia. Mm-hmm. It's the better color. It's the better, clothing, in my opinion.
Sure.
But midnight green is the mainstay for probably forever now.
It's scary how sometimes you answer the question almost exactly how I said. I said the Kelly green is nostalgia. It is what it is. Like, it reminds us of the good old days, if you want to call it that. But I said the same exact thing you just said. The memories are with the midnight green. That's where it was, and especially for us. I mean, we remember the Kelly green jerseys and all that, but when we really started getting into the sport, it was midnight green for us. And
You know what's funny? You're wearing Kelly green. I'm wearing midnight green right
yeah,
now.
exactly. But and I love it. And I told him, I said, I get your point. And he wasn't much older than me, so it's not like I'm arguing with a guy in his late 50s, in his 50s
Sure.
or 60s, But he, and I love it. And it's maybe because you don't have it all the time, and we haven't had it in a while. Believe me, anything's better than their stupid color rush jerseys and uniforms that they were wearing and stuff like that. But I'm going to ask you,
Joe, I feel like somebody saying that is somebody also saying like the black jersey should be their main color. Like, no, it's midnight green. It's been this way for over 20 years now. Like, you're not going to change it now. Come on.
I'm going to say it's just the NFL doing the same thing the NBA does with we had 4 personal fouls. I thought they were kicking out Embiid for a second. They just put Paul Reed in. But
that's time.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like this is it. The midnight green is the midnight green, man. It is that until otherwise said. And
you know what this is? This is, I don't want to say it's a money grab, but they're going to sell out everything that they put out. They're going to make a ton of money.
It's just like the NBA with their City Edition jerseys, or Phillies, they have their retro jerseys on Throwback Thursdays, and it sells because now you're like, I have Bryce Harper, but I also have my Bryce Harper powder blue jersey now.
Right.
I have, that's what it is. Like, it is a selling thing. That's what from the, oh, he's bringing back the Kelly green. Well, yeah, and he's going to make a buttload of money. I will tell you this. Here, I will tell you right now, the Jalen Hurts midnight green jersey will be the top selling jersey at one point this year.
100%.
Without a doubt. It's not even a huge stretch of the imagination. But Joe,
I will say this. Once the Kelly green Jalen Hurts comes out, it's going to be number one across the entire NFL. Once that little fad, that little trend goes down, midnight green is going to be number 2, or number 1 in all across the NFL. I mean, no, people can't get enough of this kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're going to, no matter what they put out, they're going to sell out.
So I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a chance here. You have the 4 major teams.
Okay.
You get to pick from past or present what jerseys will be their mainstay jerseys. What would you do for each one?
Phillies powder blue.
Okay, agreed. Like I'm okay.
Eagles,
I'm okay retiring the pinstripes at this point. Like, wow. My point is with my reason is you already have 2 teams with red, white, and blue color schemes. So
sure,
make it a little different. But keep going.
Flyers they're also similar. You can't even really. I mean, what am I going to say? Like, oh, the 1997 Stanley Cup jerseys, the Lindros edition. Like, I mean, they're also similar.
The burnt orange, bring that back. The more burnt, darker orange.
Well, I know the ones you're talking about, but even though I just made a joke of it, I'm still going the 90s, whatever color scheme they have with that.
That was the Lindros jersey, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the Legion of Doom time.
Sixers, the Spectrum jerseys from last year are my favorite jersey, my favorite Sixers jersey of all time. In fact, I'm looking over the side because I have the flag right next to me of that you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But yeah, powder blue, midnight green, Sixers Spectrum jerseys, and Flyers 90s.
All right. I'm kind of agreeing across the board on this one. Nobody likes to show where everybody agrees all the time, but it's happening tonight.
Well,
Joe.
Yeah.
But
it happens.
So a couple quick
Paul
things.
Reed, baby.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
They're all covering their mouth. I'm trying to figure out what happened. But there's a couple things in the Eagles news. Nothing crazy right now. Zeke Elliott came out and narrowed 3 teams down. Of course, one of them being your midnight green Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Sirianni came out and said during the owners meetings this week and said, we feel really good about our running back room.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, would you even want to entertain Zeke Elliott as a Philadelphia Eagle?
Absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not. Number one, and I will say this is way above number one, or this is the number one that's way above, is the money. He's going to command a lot of money. Like if Zeke Elliott would come in here for the price of a Boston Scott, $2 million, say give him an extra million, $3 million. Yeah, I mean, I would probably entertain it. I mean, if it made sense for the Eagles, because this guy is realizing that he's not going to get another monster contract. He wants to come out knowing that he played for the dirtbag Cowboys and he never had a shot with them at a ring. So if he comes back, or if he wanted to join an organization who actually has a shot to win a Super Bowl, and it was a FU to the Cowboys for releasing him, money was right. Yes, I would take Ezekiel Elliott. However, when I look at our running backs room in, the 3 or 4 that we have, and then there's the talks of the other big one, in the draft, who knows? I'm taking my chances with what I have now instead of giving Ezekiel Elliott, let me put it this way, a Miles Sanders type contract.
Yeah, no, and I know a lot of people go back on the bringing a former Dallas guys in. They don't always tend to work out. And that's true. I get it.
It's true. It's very true.
I think everybody just still talks about Orlando Scandrick because he was such a JO.
The fact that people are bringing up his name in the argument of why not to bring Ezekiel Elliott into camp. I mean, get your head checked because they are worlds apart in talent. So let's just get that straight.
Yeah, no, they're worlds apart, and Skandrick's a moron, and I wouldn't even use that reason. But no, it's the money thing, and if you can have, I always said I wanted a big back, and if you can get him, and then you saw that number 10 overall pick where you can go get an elite top tier pass rusher, defensive end, defensive tackle. I'm down for that. That's kind of where I want to go in the draft anyway, which we'll be talking. There's a lot of draft coverage coming here at EoP for all you guys coming out there. I don't think Shane nor Dibes sleep at all. Shane just released his first part of the top 100 draft prospects, and he just ran 91 through 100. I posted it on our Facebook today, but it's also on our YouTube. It's also on our draft page on the website. A lot of new updates on the website coming along. So guys, check out eopsports.com. I have to say, the premier place to get your draft coverage.
Oh yeah.
You find somewhere else better, and it's not, even if it's ESPN, I'll call you a liar. Joe, people are kind of hating still on the fact that Fletcher Cox is still an Eagle. And I feel like he got quote unquote overpaid. Your feelings?
He's a defensive tackle who got paid $10 million, offered more, wanted to stay in Philadelphia, his quote-unquote home, the only team that he's been with. He had 7 sacks last season. I mean, I know that he's 32, but he's not, so much older. I think the one thing you have to look at it is the person that you would have been replacing him with if you signed somebody in free agency would not have been as good as Fletcher Cox. So you're keeping the talent, you're keeping the cap number down, you're keeping his salary down, and you're keeping an Eagle for life.
Yeah.
Did I think that Fletcher Cox was going to walk? I did, and he almost did. I did not think he was going to be here. I heard him on a little snippet of him on Chris Long's podcast, and he said, Chris Long asked Fletcher Cox, quote unquote, who was sweating you the most? And he said, Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas was on his heels to sign with the Jets, and it almost happened. Fletch, his loyalty came into play, and he was like, I can't see myself playing for another organization. So he took $10 million. I understand it's $10 million. And a lot of people at the time were saying, like, oh, well, you could have given the 6.5 or 8 or whatever it was to CJ Gardner-Johnson. CJ Gardner-Johnson not want to be here anymore. He felt disrespected. He had a contract. He turned it down. The Fletcher Cox signing had absolutely nothing to do with CJGJ. Fletcher Cox is here for another year. And I do want to say this. It's like, I know we said it last year. If he's either moving on or he's retiring. And I think after this year is a real possibility of retirement for him, especially because he took less money. He knows the writing is on the wall. He knows he only has another season or 2 left. So why not ride it out with the team you've been with your entire career? And I love Fletcher Cox.
Yeah, and if you look at a pay structure for a year for, a mid-range and up defender, defensive tackle, $10 million's the going rate. You're not overspending. Nobody overspent. It wasn't like he was worth $2 million. We gave him 10. Like, people gotta get that off out of their head. He probably, like you said, you could have had a couple of years. Probably would have made more a year. Probably at least I could say at least $2 to $3 million more a year. He probably would have made 2 years, $30 million over the with somebody else to go somewhere else. I could have seen him in Carolina. I could have seen him in the Jets with Joe Douglas. I could have seen him. Well, the
Jets gave him a contract. He was almost pen to paper, and he couldn't do it.
And I could even see him try like Arizona trying to woo him over. You had your last defensive coordinator as the head coach now. Maybe Shane Steichen wants him just to help solidify. But
Fletch and Gannon didn't have that great of a relationship. He said for a couple of seasons Gannon wasn't using him right.
Yeah,
in Fletcher Cox.
But maybe the Colts come and go, pay him a little extra, get him over here, let him work with these guys, let him build up our defense. But he's here and he's an Eagle, and I'm exactly excited. I can't say I'm upset about it at all. I'm very happy about it. And
it takes away a need, to be honest with you. Like you could, and I'm not going to say you would have been reaching with somebody with that number 10 pick at defensive tackle, but I think, and this is something we've all talked about for years, like you want to be able to go in and draft the best player available. You don't want to have to draft a position based on need. Does it work out sometimes like that? Sure. It absolutely does. But you don't want to lose a Fletcher Cox and be like, okay, with that number 10, we have to draft a defensive tackle no matter what because we have to fill a hole. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just doesn't work like that. At least it shouldn't, I should say.
You posted on our social media about the CJGJ Howie Roseman response. Mm-hmm. I think it was pretty spot on. And why don't you give everybody, the audience, your thoughts, because that was your thoughts on Howie's response to CJGJ.
Howie came out the other day and he said that basically they came out and I don't want to say it was a deadline. I'm kind of going to paraphrase through this. Howie gave CJ and his agent, kind of like, I don't want to say a deadline or anything like that, but they put together this offer and CJ and his agent, they didn't like it. They declined it. And they basically said, like, at some point they have to quote unquote pivot and go in a different direction. And that's exactly what Howie did. And look what came out of it. You got to retain James Bradbury. You got to extend and lower the cap on Darius Slay. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Like, you're not going to be held hostage by this 24, 25-year-old kid because the market isn't playing out to his liking. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to move on at some point. Howie Roseman did exactly the right thing.
No, I agree with him. And like, if you're in a stalemate and you got to move on, you can't sit there and put all your eggs in that basket. And he tried to make it that way. He thought he was worth more than Howie imagined him to be, and apparently most people, because he's making $6.5 million in Detroit. Yeah. I guarantee. I guarantee. Slice have a nice match to go. Enjoy that, buddy.
I know. Yeah, and it's funny because
but the Detroit Lions are a much better team than they were then. But still,
they absolutely are.
Yeah, but still, I imagine see how this works out. I mean, they got.
What's funny because like Howie Roseman made a comment based on what CJ and his agent said. Like, they said that the Eagles had the opportunity to match the Lions' offer, and at that point, I think Howie was just moved on because Howie himself was like, I don't know exactly how it played out, but I don't know if it went the way that they are saying. So, I mean, it just seems like, and I think this is something that future free agents have to think of when it comes to Howie and the Eagles. Like, they're not going to be put over a barrel by you. Like, it's either their way or no way. Like, I think that they do offer respectful contracts and what they think that you are worth. Right now, the safety market was not what it was. You look at the Jesse Bates contract, $16 million a year, and then you look at everything under it. Every single other safety under it, nobody's even sniffing past $8 million a season. And CJ, I mean, and again, we talk about this. Like, once he starts chirping on social media, no employer wants to see that. He's going to have the same trouble again next offseason unless he, matures and it's noticeable. because nobody wants to see that crap.
His agent with the whole mic drop thing, I would have fired him in a heartbeat.
Fire that son of a B. Absolutely. Yeah. You don't want your agency going out and doing that. Get out of here.
Do you want to wear number 0 next year, Joe? Because you can.
I think I would.
Yeah.
I think it might look like a donut, but we're good.
Joe, check out this amazing lineup here at EoP. It gets bigger every day, and it just, this is just a live lineup, guys. This has nothing. It's not including all the other standalone videos, the TikTok videos, Joe's videos we'll be releasing all over the place. Check out edgeofphillysports.com or edgeofphilly.com or eopsports.com, or go right to our YouTube page and catch it all right away. Sixers are trying to make it a game, but also give you fits at the same time.
Yeah.
Silliness, but it's right now.
I do want to bring up something from the Eagles for you.
Yeah.
It came out the other day, through some betting websites. I'm not going to say the name because they are not a sponsor. Well, they have the Eagles at 10.5 wins on the season. So obviously, for you to win the bet, it has to be 11 wins. Where are you at with that? You think it's spot on? You think it's too low, too high? What do you got?
Without knowing the schedule, I know who they're playing. Without knowing their schedule, they're definitely not going to win as many games as they did last year. It's hard for me to see that happen again. 2 years in a row, I should say. Hard for me to see it 2 years in a row. But I can say, 11. I can see 11. Right now, I mean, who are they playing that scares you right now? Chiefs?
Bills, Chiefs, Niners.
That's about it.
That's probably about it.
You're probably going to lose a couple. You're going to lose a couple.
You're going to lose a Dallas
games.
game. I'll be honest. You're going to lose a Dallas game.
You're going to lose maybe a couple divisional games, maybe. So you can. Those are 3. There's always, even if you had a letdown. So that's 6 games.
You ain't losing another one to Washington. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
If you're losing 2 NFC East games, it's probably both Dallas
or one in Giants. I can see the Giants.
I don't know. Yeah, we got Boston Scott. I don't see an L coming from the New Jersey Giants.
But I think 11's, because even if you have, say you lose 3 of those 3 teams there, you have 1 letdown game. That's 4. You're 17 games in a season now, right? So and you lose 2, that's 16. That's 11 games.
Well, yeah, you'd be 11 and 6.
6 losses with 11 and 6. Yeah.
You'd be 11 and 6, and that's my thing. I think it's almost like spot on, because you look at this team, and you look at the roster the schedule, and you can't see more than 6 losses on there.
Yeah.
I mean, they had 4 losses last season. Am I right? 4? 3 or 4?
You had Washington, you had New Orleans for whatever reason, you had Dallas, and 3. You had 3.
Okay, all right. So what? I'm adding 3 more losses onto that. Like those are the games right there. Niners, Bills, Chiefs. Those are your 3 extra losses. Yeah. Like they're not going to lose more than 6. In fact, I could see them going 12-5. So if I'm betting on it, which I probably will, I'm definitely taking the over.
I added in 1 letdown loss.
Yeah,
that still gets you to 11.
Yeah.
So there you go. But before we end off, I do want to touch on the Flyers real quick. So the Flyers are winning, Joe. They're 5-1-1 in the last 7 games. They are 6. They're in the 6th spot now in the in the draft lottery. So just real quick, I'm going to explain to everybody. So with the new rules of the NHL draft lottery, there is ping pong balls, and the last 16 teams are in it. You're only permitted to move up 10 spots in the draft lottery, so you can't go any further. And that's 2 lottery will be held for the 1st overall and the 2nd overall. Sorry, my wife's phone decided to start ringing on me. And right now, in their position at the Philadelphia Flyers are at 6.5% chance of winning the 1st overall pick. With all this winning, it's put them in the bad position. Now, our boy PSG was at the Flyers game the other night, and he was at. Hold on, I'm going to turn this.
He was on the ice.
He was on the ice pre-game. Got to do a little TikTok video from it, and he was excited about the winning. Which, listen, you know me, I hate tanking, but at this point, I'm okay with losing games. I like seeing what we get from these young guys. I really do. Watching these games, I've been a good brand of Flyers hockey to watch. Just watching these young guys flourish a little bit. But he said something that I'm going to extremely disagree with. He says, "We do not need Connor Bedard." No, we do need Connor Bedard. We need that in a heartbeat. Like without a doubt, you need Connor Bedard, or one of those blue chip guys. And the further you move down, the less chances you have. You're only hurting yourself. I'm sorry, I don't want to tank, but lose the rest of the games, please.
Here's my thing on it.
Make them worthwhile, but lose the rest of the games.
I think Danny Briere has something up his sleeve.
Uh-oh.
And I think he realizes that you have to add by subtraction.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of these guys who, I think Ivan Provorov could be on the block. Unfortunately, Carter Hart could be on the block. I think Danny Briere is going to do whatever he's got to do to get in that top 5, whether it's through the lottery and them getting lucky enough to get 1 through 5 for one of those generational talents. If they fall right on the outside, 6, 7, they're going to use one of these pieces with one of the top 5 to jump up a spot or 2.
Okay.
I think that regardless, and I get it, like they're doing more harm to themselves than just winning or losing a game. Like, I understand that they're professionals, they make money. You got Torts, who is a hard-headed old school guy. You don't want to lose on purpose, and I get it. There's pride when it comes to the sport that you have grown up loving and you're lucky enough to play. I get it. But also, you're not young enough to know that you're going to be a part of this rebuild and really know that you're going to be putting something forward to the organization. I mean, and I hate to say it, Travis Konechny, some of these other guys who, just say the rebuild takes 3 years, 4 max, to put a real solid, 1 through 4 line on the ice. What age is the Konechny? What age is, Provorov? Like, these guys are not per se a part of the rebuild if you're looking at 3 or 4 years down the road of being a solid hockey team. So they're going to have to sell off some of these pieces to get, higher draft picks and stuff over the next couple of years. And that's just the way it's going to have to be. Like, I understand that there's pride in winning, but I think Danny and, whatever top brass they bring in, in the offseason, I think these guys see the bigger picture and they know what needs to be done to go forward and be successful. So, winning a game here or there, it is what it is. But the main objective, they have the bigger picture in front of them, and they're going to get it done.
And my last point for the night, I want your Torts already came out and said, don't even ask next year. There will be no captain again. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, who the hell are they going to give it to? We don't even know who's on the roster next year.
Yeah, but he pretty much said, don't even ask because I'm not going to have one next year.
Yeah, good for him. Good for him.
Yeah.
I like this.
You're liking Torts. You're loving every last.
100%. 100%. Yeah, he's a winner. I've seen it. He's proven it. I've seen him win, with the teams, his former teams. Like, we knew about John Tortorella before he was, a Flyers, coach. Like, we have a long history of playing against this guy. This guy puts together winning teams. And I love the aggression. I love the accountability. I love it all right now.
And we'll see where that all comes out.
You know what I hate? I'll say the one thing I do hate is that I don't feel like I could watch a game. I'm not as involved with the Flyers and keeping up to snuff with them than I used to be. I need good hockey back for it to grab my attention again. I hate that it's not there right now.
Freddie's breaking my stones. I always say that, Fred. I am against tanking. This season, it's sludge. It's done. It was done. I don't want to see consistent tanking year in and year out like the Sixers did. But at this point, the games are useless. And when you have a chance to get a generational talent in here, this is the only time I'm okay with it. So yes, I know I've been a bit of a hypocrite with this. I always say that. I'm so against tanking, but So Freddie's calling me out on my nonsense. But guys, I want to thank you
Good.
for joining
You
us
deserve
tonight.
to be called out.
I should be called out. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I want to thank David R. Cherry at cherryinjurylaw.com for sponsoring this show tonight. Workers' compensation, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, criminal law, you name it, he will take care of you. cherryinjurylaw.com or simply call 610-565-0300. Looking for a trip, getting away, you want to go see Philly sports, all that stuff is available for you at phillysportstrips.com. So many things up here. There's many more on the website, phillysportstrips.com. Check it out. And if you want to stay local and catch a game, maybe go to a concert, a theater event, whatever it is, go to sherrystickets.com for those hard to get tickets. They're going to have the most competitive prices out there with no hidden fees, and get yourself additional 10% off by using the promo code EOP10. Like I said, guys, here is the amazing lineup here at EOP. More to come as well. But we're gonna let you guys finish out the Sixers game. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Sheeran.
And we are out.
We out.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.